underscore Sission. Right, my channel is all about spirituality, self-development, and leveling up. And also, I speak a lot about manifestation and creating your own reality as well. And because I like topics of creating your own reality, I do follow Abraham Hicks. Right, it's one of the first teachings that I actually came across that taught me and that the fact that we are actually our own creators, we're creating our own reality. So Abraham Hicks, let me tell you more about Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks is just an entity, a collective channeled by Esther Hicks in the 80s. She started in the 80s. I think it was 85. It was 85 that she started. She had a confrontation with somebody who was a channeler, right? And then she was curious about channeling her and her husband, which was Jerry Hicks, right? The late Jerry Hicks, okay? So they then got to channel, or she, Esther, got to channel Abram, the collective arrived consciousness. And then Jerry partake and helped her because he was the catalyst. He was the one interested in the channeling in the first place, okay? But then Esther being curious, she started then wanting to understand what is channeling. And then she then became the medium that Abraham Hicks uses till date. Okay. So basically, Abraham is a group consciousness, as I said, from a non-physical dimension. Okay. And this is channeled by Esther Hicks, as I said. While the term channeling is normally referred to, Esther and her husband, her late husband, Jerry, often refer to it as an inspiration or a connection to infinite intelligence. Esther acts as the interpreter, okay? So she receives blocks of information, okay? And then she interprets the information verbally, right? Okay, so here we go. So Esther and Jerry came across this entity, and they were first curious because when you read a book about how they actually came across Jerry, it's quite interesting because they were just meditating every single day. They were meditating till one day uh, Esther started receiving different messages. First, her head was moving because she wasn't ready to actually get all the messages. Okay, as a channeler, you have to be ready to actually get that information. Okay, so the channeling always speaks about the law of attraction because that's one of the topics that Abraham Hicks speaks about, the law of attraction. You are your own creator. This is a big thing as well, right? And then the emotional guidance system, use your emotional guidance for you to be able to manifest. In other words, you follow your bliss all the time, okay? And then the vortex is another thing, concept which is unique to Abraham Hicks's teachings, unlike, for example, the Shaw's or even Seth's one, okay? And then also he also speaks about the art of allowing things. That's surrendering, letting go. Okay, that's a common concept taught in manifestation. So Abraham Hicks, as I said, is an entity or a collective that comes through Esther. Esther channels it to help people understand since the 80s, right? Helping to manifest and have a better life experience. So it's all about the law of attractions. Now, there's even a book called The Law of Attraction, written by another author, obviously, right? Speaking about how the law of attraction works, right? It's coming from the same concepts of manifesting or creating your own reality. Thank you for joining my live. Okay, fine. So anyway, the law of attraction is the most fundamental principle in Abraham Hicks' teaching, often summarized by the phrase, that which is like unto itself is drawn. In other words, that is which is like unto itself is drawn means that you attract who you are, what you are. You attract according to your own frequency. Okay. Then he speaks about you are your own creator, meaning that you are your divine, you are the source of of your life experience. You're creating everything at every single moment. Okay. So according to the teaching, you're not a victim. Okay, you are an active participant in your life experience. Things are not just happening. Okay, you are operating these things with your choices and your actions and your perceptions and your belief system, your worldview. Okay, then he also speaks about emotional guidance system. Your emotions are your internal compass. Okay, emotions are your internal compass. They are a feedback system from your inner source. When you feel good and you aligned. If you're not feeling good, then you're not aligned in that sense. Okay, basically, it's all about the feeling. When you feel good, you aligned, and your desires on the right path. In other words, your desires that you have are linked to your feelings. Okay, when you desire something but you feel a bit uncomfortable about the topic, about this thing that you desire, that's a blockage, meaning there's a belief system that's blocking you, okay, around to you connecting to your desires. Okay, that's how it works. And he also speaks about the vortex, which the vortex is like a space. It's an energetic space, a physical space, or energetic space where all your desires are sitting. Like I normally think of it as like the astral plane. Your desires are in the astral plane. Okay. Abraham Hicks speaks about it as being an energetic physical place where all your desires reside when you have a desire, whether it is a new car, a new house, a new job, or loving, or a relationship that you desire. Okay, you launch these rockets of desires, and these desires are sitting in your vortex. Okay, in your space in the astral plane. Okay, then he also speaks about the art of allowing. Allowing is important. The principle about letting go, let it go, let it be, surrender, no resistance. Okay, so people desire something, they do what they need to do, and then they don't let go. They're stressing constantly. So Abraham Hicks speaks about the art of allowing, resisting, trusting, letting go, letting the flow take control. You understand? And he also speaks about the fact that there is when you are creating something in your life, okay, the path of joy is what you need to follow, right? The path is a joyful path, not a hard and not a struggle, but about aligning to your vibration to that thing that you want and desire. Okay, so you want that car. How do you feel about the car? Is there resistance? You don't believe in it. You don't believe you can get the car. You have that resistance. That's not a joyful alignment. Okay, but when you believe that you deserve this car, it's possible, and it brings you joy, and you're just thinking about having this vehicle. Okay, you're experiencing that joy within yourself. Okay, so now let's talk about the fact human beings are being given this information, and why are we given channelers? Why are we getting information from source through people? Because we need that information. We need to understand that we are our own. We create our own reality. That we are our own masters in the space that we're living in. Because people feel that they feel they are. They're being controlled. Number one, they feel that they're out of control because life is just happening to them. So the Abraham Hicks teachings and the Bashar teachings, as well as the set teachings, which were channeled by Jane Roberts in 1963, and she passed in 1984, and the next year, and then Abraham Hicks came about. You see, so Spirit is trying to reach out to us using these different entities, different mediums, to help people understand that they have their own control of their own life experience. No one's a victim here. Okay, we are creating, but the problem is that we are creating unconsciously, right? Because we create it from a space of being victims, or feeling like victims, feeling out of control. Okay, so then Peshawar speaks about you being in control, right, and following your bliss. Esther, channeling Abraham, speaks about the same thing. Jane Robertson, channeling Seth in the 60s, spoke about the same thing: your bliss, your joy, that you are a creator, you are a manifester. So all these things are not happening by chance, but happening for a specific reason that human beings need to understand. Your life is in your control. Take charge of your life, and then you will end your own internal suffering. Okay, when you become a master of your own reality, you end your own internal suffering. This life experience becomes a better experience for you, right? So yeah, I'm Sissy, life coach, motivational speaker. If you new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, right? Because my channel is all about self-development, Okay, so if you hear now, it's not by chance, it's something you need to hear. Even if you've never came to my channel before, I've never seen my live before, it's your first time, then there's specifically something you need to hear that's going to empower you and grow you as a person and insights, because nothing happens for no reason, right? So let's talk about this channeling thing. What is channeling? Why are people talking to spirits? Why are spirits or entities using people to send through messages? What's it all about? Okay, channeling. Channeling is the process of transmit or transmitting information or energy from a source beyond the physical world. Okay, the source is often described as a group consciousness, a collective spirit guide, sometimes ascended masters at times, angels at times, and one's higher self. Okay, the person acting as a channel or the conduit essentially acts as a bridge between physical and non-physical realms, right? The core idea is that the channeler turns into different vibrational frequencies to access knowledge, right? So the let me repeat that again, because it doesn't really, you know, it's hard to understand what it really is. The core idea is the channeler, like myself, I'm the channeler, right? Tunes into different vibrational frequencies. In other words, you're getting information outside of the normal physical frequency, right, of the third dimensional reality, okay? Sometimes from the fifth dimension, sometimes from the sixth, sometimes from the fourth, but normally from the fifth upwards, right? Okay, so you get insights and messages from these other entities, not in our current reality now, okay? So the core idea is that the channeler tunes into different vibrational frequencies, right? To access this knowledge, this information, this wisdom, this guidance that's not available through conventional means, okay? So it is available through unconventional means, like the channeler getting the messages from the entities from the outside. Could be ascended masters, because we've heard people say that, right? Could be angels, could be one's higher self as well, could be your spirit guides as well, okay? So they come in different forms, but it comes to you in a way that you can relate to it. Because it's not supposed to make you afraid. It's not supposed to trigger fear, but to help you understand and get the message clearly. Okay, not every single person is open to this thing. That's why not every single person is able to channel, right? But at the end of the day, we all, like, in a creative process. If you're somebody that's an artist, you get inspired, you get insights. That's a channel on its own, because here you are, you have this idea, and the ideas are flowing, right? And you have this moments of high inspiration, and you're doing this art. You can say that's also kind of a channeling process, because it's energy coming, a vibration coming, that's now triggering you, triggering an inspiration within you, right? So channeling is something that could be done by even writers, artists, even musicians. You get my point, that kind of thing. Like even dancers and artists, like how Beyonce got Sasha Fierce, who gives it that inspiration. Like something else comes in and then activates that energy, and then she called it archetypal energy Sasha. You understand, that kind of thing. It's all about the inspiration. You see, so people think there is something unusual, something weird, when it's something that happens all the time. Even when you automatic writing, when you're an author and you're writing, right, and you're having all these insights and ideas for your book that you're writing. That's another form of channeling as well. See, so it happens all the time. It's not something unusual, okay? So the types of channeling, let's go into them, right? Channeling is not a one-size-fits-all phenomenon, okay? It manifests in various forms, often categorized by level of your consciousness, right? It's actually categorized by the level of consciousness of the channeler. Not every single person can carry the same, or let's just say, not every single person has the same bandwidth. In other words, you need to have a certain type of bandwidth for you to be able to channel or be a source or a medium for a message to come through, okay? Because every single person's consciousness is different. Depending on your worldview as well, your worldview can also block higher frequencies if your worldview was of low frequency, okay? Right. So types of channeling. You have conscious channeling. In this form, the channeler remains fully aware and conscious during the process, okay? They are not in a trance state and they can recall information they are receiving. Conscious channeling is often described as an inner dialogue and an intense feeling of intuition where the message comes from and thoughts, feelings, or internal knowing. So it's thoughts, feelings, and internal knowing. Esther Hicks' channeling of Abraham is known as an example of this type of channeling. It's a conscious channeling, which is getting blocks of information from Abraham, right? The collective, okay? Then is trance channeling. Okay, this is also not very common these days, but trance channeling is more a form of channeling where the channeler enters into an altered state of consciousness or a trance. In this state, they may relinquish control of their body. They give control of their body to the energy or the entity that they're channeling, okay? Very interesting, and it sounds a bit kind of somebody taking over your own body kind of thing, right? Or an entity taking over. Now these are the things that we see when people sort, for example, you see this happen a lot in churches and people don't understand that, right? You get somebody speaking, they say the person has got a demon in them, and the person starts talking in another voice, and they start doing things strange and stuff like that, okay? That's something that people have witnessed in the religious settings, okay? And then people get fearful because it looks very scary, okay? And a person's voice changes and everything, and their body moves in certain ways that that's not normal, right? That's a trance channeling. Not very popular these days because Spirit has realized that people's consciousness is more higher. A lot of people have the ability to channel in the conscious way because they have a broader consciousness or belief that's not blocking the entity or the energies of coming through, okay? And then it's automatic writing, as I said before. I mentioned it before. Also known as spirit writing, or it's a form of channeling. It's a form of channeling as well, the spirit writing or automatic writing. The person may not be in a trance state, but you're aware and you're conscious, but you're having all these ideas coming through and you're like writing. I think it was that guy, Neil, he wrote books on there. It's called Conversations with God. He experienced what we call automatic writing, right? The Conversations with God is written by that guy, Neil, I forgot his name, but the Conversations with God, that book, he wrote about 5 books, I think, and he speaks about how asked God, he asked divine source questions. He was in a place of distress in his life, right? And then he had all of a sudden he had this idea to go take a pen and write, and then he started getting all his answers while he was writing from source, from his higher self maybe, but from an entity from another dimension was helping him through and answering his questions, okay? Now, this is my understanding. If everything is one and the law of oneness is a real thing, that we're all connected, right? God is everything. So God is your higher self. God is your guides. God is those entities, that those ascended masters. Everything is one. Because if you say that there's a true thing called the law of oneness, so you can't separate God from yourself, God from your guides, God from the deities or entities that help you as well, like for example ascended masters and other guides that come through, because everything is one, okay? Because if we are all one and God is part of us, divine source is part of us, and we are the everything, and everything's the everything basically, right? So there's nothing to fear in this reality as well. Even the so-called dark archetypes that are those archetypes is chaos, like the devil, the dark entities, right? Remember that the darkness and the lights work together, and human beings have light, right? They're light beings, but they're also allowed to experience and express the darkness as well, because we have the gift of choice, right? However, all these things, when I say darkness, I'm talking about shadow decisions, shadow way of living, things that are not work going to add light or love into you, but things are going to get you where you want to go, right? Because remember, all this is energy. because people decide to do the so-called evil things or dark things to get where they want to go, okay? They still get there, but there's consequences of using the dark energies, right? Basically, because of the laws that are there, the law of karma will tell you that when you do something negative and not so loving and kind, you're going to get a repercussion. You're going to get the karma back, okay? The negative karma, right? When you do the good thing, you get the opposite. You get the positive karma, right? Then now you're not going to be working and cleansing and removing dark karmas in the next lifetime because you've made those decisions to a high frequency. So we are in that stage where we call to do high frequency decisions and do high frequency actions, making those decisions at a high frequency and then doing those things at a high frequency as well. Very important, okay? So then after automatic writing, there's also what we call inspired speaking or light language. This is also common these days, okay? You see the social media, a lot of people doing light language, speaking in a light language. So what is a light language? The light language is basically, it's a form of language that involves a heightened state of being, okay? You need to be in a high vibration. Again, your bandwidth is of high frequency. Okay, so if you are in depression, if you are in feeling down, jealousy, depression, revenge, right? You will not be able to do the light frequency language because you don't have the bandwidth or the ability. Your radio station is way low. You understand? This involves heightened states of inspiration where the channeler delivers a message verbally, okay? Verbally. And it could be even a song. You can sing a song, a type of communication that bypasses conventional language, okay? It's often referred to as light language. The channeler feels intense flow of energy and the words come forth out or easily, they just flow spontaneously, in other words, okay? Sometimes with a shift in the core, in the sound vibration in your voice box, in your throat chakra. You understand? Again, the light language, I'm thinking it won't really work if your throat chakra is stuck. If you're somebody that's has shame, you feel embarrassed, you don't want to talk out loud, you have what they call them introverts, you're shy, then it's going to be an issue because the light language needs a high vibrational throat chakra that's open, and plus the solar plexus and a heart that's also opened in to a certain extent, because nobody can be perfect, right? Everybody's trying to just improve themselves. So it's not about perfection, okay? So light language is very interesting as well, okay? And it's kind of weird when you first come across it, okay? While closely related to channeling, mediumship is another concept as well. Mediumship is a specific type of channeling that focuses on communicating, right, with the spirits and the deceased. Okay, this is what we call what they call it, necromancy. Is it necromancy? Communicating with the dead. Okay, that kind of thing. That one even sounds more scary if you don't understand spirituality, right? A lot of people be afraid of necromancy, communicating with the dead. That's mediumship, okay? Now let's talk about the clears. Now the clears are clearly linked to channeling, right? And also mediumship and all these other concepts I was speaking about. The conscious channeling, the trance channeling, as well as the automatic writing as well, and the mediumship. Okay, so now the clears. There are 6 clears specifically, right? They speak about your clairvoyance, which is the ability to see images, clairvoyance, the ability to see images, okay? And then you have the clear audience, ability to hear messages, okay? Then you have the clear sentience. This is the feeling, right? You have the ability to feel and perceive emotions and sensations from spiritual source. Okay. And then you have clear cognance coming from the mind. So this one tells you it's about the knowing, it's the mind, clear cognance, the ability to have sudden intuitive knowing without logical explanation, right? Now, I normally get clear cognance, right? But my strongest is clear sentience, the feeling, all right? And then clear audience, or is it audience? No. Clear audience, the hearing, yes. Sometimes I do hear, you know what I mean? I hear messages sometimes, but mostly my clear voyance and strong is clear audience and clear um, cognance, which is a clear knowing. You're not sure why, but you just know. You have the gut feeling. You just get, sometimes you get a download while you ask a question in the middle of a crowd of people, and the next minute you get a download, and the next minute you're able to see and get that answer without you even thinking very much. You just ask the question, and yeah, there came the answer. Okay. So that's the clearest. Right now, about the vibration, I mentioned about vibrational, your vibration is very important. Okay, Abraham Hicks also speaks about that. Okay, that is a emotional vibrational chart, right? That's online as well. It speaks about love being the highest vibration, second is joy, second is peace, second is reason. Then I mean the next one, sorry, I'm saying second, next. Okay, so love first, number two, joy. Now we go from top to the bottom. Okay, love, joy, peace. Okay, love, joy, peace. Okay, and then we have reason, then we have acceptance. Right now, when something bad or negative happens in your life, you people tell you accept it, because acceptance is near peace. Okay, acceptance means, okay, I'm on my way to peace. I'm accepting the situation I am in now. That's why people say accept that the person passed, and accept that you lost their job, accept that you are where you are today, because now the acceptance is going to help you go up to peace. Okay, right? So there's acceptance, and then there is willingness. Very interesting. Willingness. And then you have willingness, yes, then you have neutrality. Okay, neutrality. Neutrality is another spiritual concept that's taught a lot by a lot of spiritual teachers, for you to be neutral. Right? When you are neutral, you're neither here or there. You're just okay. You in the center, you're on the fence, you're neutral, right? You're not like, your emotions are not too are not on, they're not on either side of the two extremes. You're just neutral, a nice space to be in when it comes to when it comes to understanding how life is, what's happening in the world now. To be neutral is a PowerPoint, not to be too taken by what's going on in this reality, and also not to be too not aware. But okay, I'm neutral. I understand these things are happening, but I have no opinion. Right? I'm neutral. I'm just keeping myself in that space. That can also help your frequency a lot. Because now, if you're going to be fearful, or you're going to be not going to be worried, not bothered, it's just too much of the two opposite sides of the spectrum. Okay, right? Because remember, everything is polarity here, right? So neutrality is also very useful for a state of mind that can also keep your vibration nice and balanced. Okay, and then courage, and then pride, and then at the bottom, behind or under pride, is anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, and guilt. Guilt, right at the bottom, when you're feeling guilty about something, right? That's a low frequency. Apathy is afterwards. Okay, then you have grief. Grief is also, it's a very low frequency. When you are in grief, you cry, you sad about something, you're feeling not balanced, you're feeling at loss. Okay, so if you go from the bottom to the top, the bottom part is guilt, feeling guilty. Then empathy. Empathy is that I don't care what really happens. I'm tired of giving up. Empathy is the second one after guilt. Okay. Then there's grief. Grief is like when you are really distraught. So you lost something, you lost somebody in your life, somebody you loved. Okay. And then there's fear. Fear is a very low frequency, right? Fear, a terrible space to be in, because it also triggers anxiety. So anxiety then triggers a mental instability. Your mental state is not balanced. Okay, so fear is a terrible state to be in, right? And then after fear, there's desire. At least now you're moving away from fear. You're desiring to see things differently. You're desiring to experience a better life experience. Now you are healing now, okay? And then there's anger. Anger, they say anger is much more better, because anger, at least you're angry. It's an emotion. You want to do something, okay? Anger can be used to also manifest things in your life. But remember, be careful about doing spiritual work when you're angry, because when you're angry, you're going to now attract spiritual entities, your guides, those things that you, especially if you're somebody that believes in spiritual life and spiritual beings, okay, and you do spiritual practice. When you're angry, you will manifest, yes, something, but you probably won't be happy with the end result, because it won't be a good result, because anger is about lashing out. It's not taking ownership. Anger is about, I'm angry. You're not really taking full ownership. You just have this fire feeling, but you're not taking ownership of your situation, right? So now you will able to then attract a negative entities to help you express this anger that you really feel within yourself, right? Anger, every feeling is valid, right? Every feeling is valid, right? But remember that certain feelings are high frequency than others, okay? And feelings are everything, because of the emotional body. We actually attracting life with our emotional body. We're attracting things in our life because of our emotional body, okay? So these feelings are in your emotional body. Now, the lower they are, the more darker your emotional body is, the more darker your aura is. Somebody's selling ice cream outside, right? So these are the things. That's why we're hearing that bell. Sorry guys for that noise. It's somebody selling ice cream outside, okay? So it's about love. It's high frequency, joy, peace, reason, acceptance. Where I normally sit, acceptance, reason, joy, peace. That's my range. I like to be in that range. Just accept things. When things are happening, when something happens in my life, caused from an outside of me, or caused by something I did or did not do, I like to find acceptance. Because with acceptance, I know I'm now on my way up. I'm making peace with the situation, right? I'm now making peace with it. I'm surrendering to it. So I like acceptance. And then reason, right? Okay, this is the reason why it's happening. Okay, I understand why it's happening. I did this to get this. I failed here to do this, and this is what happened. Taking responsibility, okay? And then I get to peace. When I'm at peace with myself. This is it. I accept things the way they are. Okay, I find peace in it. Now I'm on my way to joy. I'm on my way to love. You see my point? That's why I like to stay at acceptance, right? I don't like to deny anything really, because when you start denying things, you're now dropping your frequency down. Okay, and then yeah, then things don't work out very well for you, right? So it's all about you understanding your own emotional states. Where are you normally at? Now remember, there's a core vibrational frequency that we have, a stable one, the one that you normally at, and then there's others that spike up and down, spike for happiness and joy, enthusiasm, and then down, distress, um, fear, disencouragement, feeling down. You understand? Remember, it's always up, down, up spike or down spike, going down or going up. Now, where you are, you need to understand as a person. Every single person who's a conscious creator should understand where their core frequency is, where you live, or all the most of the time. This is your space. Now, my one is acceptance, right? Because I like to accept things. They are what they are. I accept what people say or do because that's their business, okay? Because nothing's to do with me, right? That's their business. I accept my life. Everything is happening in my life. And that's about acceptance, finding a joy. Not to say that I don't complain at times. Yes, I do. I'm not a perfect person, right? There's no one that's perfect. But if you can come to a point where you're accepting life for where you are now, right? Now you're able to work up to your peace in the situation, finding peace. Then you're able to find your joy and your love, right? So I do get to a point where I'm joyful, right? And we are feel love. Now, love's got to do with your heart. Remember now, a lot of people have this misperception about love, okay? Because love is so much more connected to the physical activity or the physical relationship with two people now. Mostly people think it's that. That's why we don't love ourselves and don't love other people, because we have this idea we're connecting it with a romantic relationship, right? Now, love is a feeling. A mother, look at a mother, how a mother nurtures a baby, right? That's that feeling, right? It's that emotional, I accept you as you are. I'm not going to change you. The mother doesn't want the child to change, okay? The mother's loving the child the way the child is, giving that love and that nurturing, okay? When a person says, I can only love you accept you when you change, then that's not love. That is not unconditional love. It's not love. Let's call it, it's not love. Because love is all about you accepting somebody else as they are, okay? As they are, without any expectations for them to change or to do this or to not to do that, right? So now Abraham, he speaks about all these things. Where are you? Where are you in the scale, in the emotional scale? Okay, very important as well, right? I've got a nice picture here, but it's in black and white. I couldn't get it in color, right? The emotional scale. But Abraham Hicks, right? Let's speak about more of this emotional scale, because I just mentioned a few concepts, right? How all the feelings and emotions. Now, the emotional scale, he says that the emotional scale is your system guidance, right? It's how you guide yourself, right? So he teaches about that, right? This is how you understand your personal emotional state. Okay, very important. It is an external force, but an internal compass. Okay, an external force, meaning that we are affected by other people, situations, circumstances outside of us. But then again, it becomes an internal compass. So you choose on what to align a meaning to. That's going to give you a feeling, right? An emotional response to what's happening outside. Okay, yeah, this person comes in and says a certain thing to me, or yeah, something happens in the world, in the macro collective. Maybe they're talking about World War III. How do I feel about? How do I respond to that trigger, to that stimuli? You see, it's an external trigger, but then you have to internally respond. Like, how will you respond? Will it be in anger? Will it be in fear? Or where will it be? What feeling will you be triggered to actually express when you are triggered by an external force, an external stimuli? You understand? That's what he's talking about. You need to be aware of that, okay? How it works. The system is based on the idea that your emotions are the most important tool of deliberate or intentional creation, right? Your emotions are that important tool. When you feel good, it's a sign that your thoughts are aligned with your desires. Okay. When you don't feel good, then it's the opposite, right? When you feel good, it's a sign that your thoughts are aligned to your desires. Very interesting. I like that, right? So people need to understand that. How does it feel? How does it feel when you think about a certain thing? When you start second guessing your manifestation, how does it make you feel? When you feel that you don't have something, how does it make you feel? Right? When you feel that somehow you're not in control of your life, how does it make you feel? So people don't want to connect to their emotional body and their feelings, right? And that's where the problem comes in, right? So the goal is always to seek thoughts that provide relief. Okay, you can have negative thoughts. It's not about pushing away negative thoughts. There's a lot of spiritual teachers coming up and saying that the law of attraction and this whole emotional scale thing is nonsense, because people are taught to suppress their feelings. Okay, it's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about you choosing the feeling that works well for you, right? Is it causing internal suffering, or is it causing joy and peace? Okay, your thoughts are important. Your thoughts are your business. You're not forced, or you're not like, you don't have the inability to change your thoughts. Okay, so when you have a negative thought or a feeling, it's not about resisting. It's about you asking yourself, okay, you immerse yourself in that feeling. Okay, you accept it. It's not about resistance. Don't resist, because what you resist will grow, right? So it's about you acknowledging that negative feeling, right? Okay, and don't be like torturing yourself and trying to tell yourself, why am I thinking this negative things? I must not be thinking negative things and thoughts. It's a normal expression. A negative feeling is all about telling you, your inner source, your inner guidance, excuse me, is telling you that there's something you need to take care of, something you need to address within your belief system, within your life experience around you, coming from your worldview, right? So when a negative feeling comes, right? It's telling you, pay attention. Pay attention to this. This feeling came out now. Pay attention. It's not about you pushing the thoughts away and fighting it and replacing it quickly with a positive thought, okay? Now, in most cases, that is possible, okay? In most cases, you are able to replace that feeling with a positive thought straight away. But if that negative feeling still keeps on coming, the more you change your positive vibe and think about something more positive and something negative comes, keeps on coming, then you need to accept it. So my guidance for my clients is to accept that feeling. Okay, I'm having this feeling, right? It feels like this is making me feel uncomfortable in my body, but I can't. I mean, it won't be good for me to ignore it. So what is it telling me? What is this feeling telling me? What should I pay attention to? Okay, what I normally do, I like to go to a quiet place where it's just me and myself only, nobody else. I do deep breathing. I do breathing exercise, right? Breathe in and then breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out until I settle down, till my emotions settle and the triggers in my body that have been triggered by the negative feeling calm down. And then I ask myself, okay, where's this feeling coming from? Or where's the feeling coming from? What is it trying to tell me? Okay, what am I ignoring? What should I pay attention to? What is this feeling telling me about the situation? You understand? You see? Now you're taking control of your own emotional body. You're taking control of your own emotions. You're saying, stop. Let's assess the situation. Let's assess. Same with anxiety. Let's assess the situation. When you're having anxiety attack, right? It's all about that fear, but coming from a perception and a belief that you're unsafe, that whatever situation you find yourself in, it's unsafe, right? That's what it's all about. So when you stop yourself and say, hit pause, even if you're in a crowded room with people, you can still hit pause, right? If you cannot, then excuse yourself from that space and go somewhere else, right? In most cases, when you have an anxiety attack, it's in public. So that's when you don't really have the choice. You have no other way but to calm yourself right there, right? Calm and soothe yourself. So you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out and calm yourself, right? To a point where you say, okay, what is going on? What is this feeling telling me? Why am I feeling like this? Get my point? You can even tell yourself to calm down, calm down, calm down. All is well. I am safe. Right? So you bring yourself to the point where you're just gonna calm yourself down. Because remember, your body and your mind are constantly communicating, right? So with that auto program that we have, our subconscious mind, right? We have fears and perceptions that make us feel safe in certain circumstances, okay? Now, this is also, if it's very chronic, then you go on medication, right? You go for medical help, because disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychologist, but I am speaking through my own experience because I have had experience of anxiety, right? And I've able to actually overcome those things like motion sickness, and I get very anxious, full of anxiety. I was able to actually heal myself from that, right? And I use the same tactics now whenever I'm in a space where I'm feeling fearful, right? So there's chronic, remember, that needs medical attention, and there's the normal mundane day-to-day anxiety or fear or maybe things that you're afraid of, okay? But you have control of your own body, right? You have control of your own body. So even if you go to the doctor wants to know what are the symptoms, right? What are you feeling? What is going on in your mind? What is going on when you're having anxiety attack? You understand that kind of. Sometimes it's linked to the food you're eating as well, because it's all chemistry, right? It's all chemistry. Our body is just made up of chemicals and hormones, which are chemicals, right, basically. And these things can also cause a mental unease like anxiety and stuff like that. But I always tell people, go and see a professional. If you're not able to solve or help yourself with the normal mundane ways of actually controlling your anxiety, go and see a psychologist, a psychiatrist. Go and see your doctor. Go and see somebody who's trained in the field. They can give you proper information. If you're not able to heal it by just normal breathing, taking note of it, telling yourself that you're safe right here, that all is well, right? That's what your emotions are very important. They run the game of life, basically. That's why we have the scale here, the emotional scale, because your emotions run your game in the in life. Your emotion run your life, basically. If you can't control your emotions and don't understand your emotions, then you're actually not going to have a good time here. You're not going to have a healthy time here. Your body's going to be uneasy because your emotions are not working, right? So Abraham Hicks speaks about those emotional scale. Very important when it comes to manifesting your own reality, right? Your emotional scale guidance is a practical tool for the system, right? So here we are, it's a practical tool for you to understand how am I feeling now, okay? And if you're not sure about your feeling, go and Google, download the emotional scale, right? Abraham Hicks emotional scale. And then you get to see these little things, right? What is joy? How far it is? How far is um, pain and depression and fear from the joy, right? Maybe all these other feelings I got no words for, or those feelings that actually are between the joy that where I want to go and yeah, where I am with the pain and the fear. So how do I get to the top? Right, so then you start doing the research because now you're taking ownership of your own life experience. My channel is about you taking ownership because we are not being controlled. We are actually having our own life experience. We're controlling our own life, creating our own life experience, right? We're not victims, right? We are participants of this whole creative experience called life, okay? We are co-creating with divine source. Very important, right? So again, Abraham Hicks and other entities that came through to help humans, to help us understand our own feelings, our own experiences, yeah, how we can level up. Okay, understand what is suffering. Why is suffering here? In Abraham Hicks' teaching, he speaks a lot about suffering, about people causing your own suffering by your focus. Your focus is on that thing, that disbelief. Now, there's so many people, 8 billion people in the world, okay? Now, remember, each single person's living their own life experience and creating their own life experience with their level of awareness, with their own aura, with their own frequency, with their own vibration, right? And we all, well, most of us are actually at the solar plexus, about the eyes, about me serving my ego, right? The system of this world is about the hustle, the crime, about chasing the money, chasing the career, chasing everything. Keep on chasing. It's all about you getting what you want. So you can't expect people to be in high frequency and in love when they're all chasing and being self-centered in a very, very toxic way, right? All living in the solar plexus, all about yourself, right? And if that solar plexus, a feeling that you're living is very low frequency, okay, then you're taking, right? You're narcissistic, you're not giving. Now we in the space where people are like that. The world is like that, all 8 billion people. Very few people are high frequency, moving to the heart chakra, because after the solar plexus is the heart chakra, right? Operating from love and kindness. Okay, now we have a kind of a energetic pull and shove between the negative and the positive vibes that are happening in this reality right now. The more you see on social media, the more you see people speaking out like myself, speaking about high vibration, change your vibration, take charge of your life, be responsible of your life. That means that we are slowly raising our frequencies as a collective. Very important, so to be able to heal ourselves and heal the world, right? That's what it's all about, having your own happiness, having peace in your life, and diminishing and getting rid of that pain and suffering, self-suffering. You understand? That's what it's all about. So today, thank you for joining my live. I hope this information was helpful. I'm about to end my live now, right? If you have not as yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, right? And then, because my channel is growing, right? It's growing. I am persistent, and my intention is to grow my channel, right? I'm persistent, and my intention is to grow my channel, right? So if you are interested, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and go into my videos and share the videos that you like, right? Share with your friends. Don't be shy, right? Because the more people get to see my content, the more my channel can actually grow, right? It's all about self-development, right? It's all about leveling up. right? So have a great Saturday further, okay? And be blessed. Remember, you are the light. You are the creator of your own reality. All is well right here, okay?